All right. Hey guys. I am. Hello. Hey everybody. Here I am again. What's up? What's up? I'm excited, guys, to have another friend join. Um, Hello everybody. Thank you guys for joining me today for another conversation round. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited. Definitely glad to be able to host this. And I'm so thankful for everyone who joined. Thank you guys again. All right, let's get chatting. Hey! What's up, Ryan, Albert, everybody, Hassan, Cynthia, everyone else? All right, I'm just gonna wait for my friend. Last time was really fun. Thank you guys so much. That was really cool. I'm really excited. Stay tuned for next week because we're having Ryan come and talk about his experience being mixed Asian and African American or Black. I'm sorry. He's a guest and he's going to be able to talk about that. And I think that's really cool to hear what he has to say. So Jhanelle is going to come. So we're going to get her to join. So.
All right. Ah, cleaned up my room a little bit. I don't know if you guys can tell. Hey, hello.
Hey!
Hi, Jhanelle. What's up?
Hi.
Okay, let
How
me.
are you?
I am okay. I'm just really glad to be able to have this and have everyone join. And I'm thankful that you're able to join us too.
Thank you for having
Um,
me. I feel
yeah,
I'm excited.
me
I think I've
too.
told you I just haven't done this very much. So this is all new.
Oh no, this is new to me too. I'm still fidgeting around. Clearly, I got to figure out how to do this. So,
Well, you're doing a great job so far. I watched your thing the
no,
other day
this is like
and I was like, yes.
totally all right. So, Jhanelle and I, how do we know each other, Jhanelle?
We
Let's see if
know
this.
each other from the business, from
Yes, we.
Hollywood.
I mean, we're
Um,
trying.
yes, but we
Yeah.
met in a networking organization
Hmm.
and I don't know, I just thought you were very cool. I was like, I have to know her. And we got a chance to kind of go to different events
Yep.
and meet other people within this networking organization and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun, and you know, I think it's great being able to meet all different types of people who are in film, especially people of a diverse background. And thank you so much for joining and being able to be open to talk to us because I
Yeah.
think it's, yeah, really important to hear our voices and, especially during this Black Lives Matter movement and all that's happening. I'm sure we have a lot of stories to share, to tell, and I just wanted this, I've told you before, just something chill, whoever's joining is to be, feel comfortable and listen in as if we're talking, just like on the phone that I usually call you with
Yeah.
and, as friends, you know?
Yes.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Also because, we're women and women also need representation, women of color, women of diverse backgrounds, women in general, and just also saying that Breonna Taylor, she's also a case that needs more awareness. Apparently, she hasn't been her case hasn't been given enough awareness because the police officers are still on the list.
They're still
So,
free. They're still
yep,
walking free.
yeah. So you guys please, hashtag give awareness to Breonna Taylor's case too. I mean, as a female, we know that we always kind of have to wait in a sense, before the men or, it's a little bit less of a focus.
Yeah. I mean, this is an interesting time. There's just been a lot going on.
Yeah.
And where do you put your focus? Like
Yeah.
I feel like everyone kind of has their reasons to why they are allies of the Black community as
Hmm.
to, who I think a lot of people have one person in particular that resonates with them more than the other cases. And so
Hmm.
we would
Right.
hope that all three cases that have recently happened that really fed this movement would be treated equally. We can hope that. But that's, not always the case.
Yeah.
But I do believe that Brianna's case, I don't know why it hasn't been addressed sooner. I don't know.
I
I don't know
know.
why.
I know. I learned like afterwards too.
You would just think that this is big enough to where, you just take care of it. But I'm also not super versed on the justice system. I don't know what processes there are. I do know that it should be faster. And it's not okay that it's not. But
absolutely,
we're on our way, hopefully. I saw today that Ellen posted about it, and Ellen DeGeneres, I mean, she's huge.
There's a lot of people.
You.
I think there was some kind of thing where a bunch of celebrities, Ali Wong did it, Alicia Keys, Jada Pinkett Smith, so I think it's kind of like come on, women, we gotta raise awareness. She's only like 27, or she's now 27. Gosh, it's so sad.
It is. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to think about. Like this stuff should not be happening. Still. Right.
But we're working towards it. So, like chats like these open up conversations, thought-provoking conversations, and that's why we're doing this. So let's get chatting. You ready? I've got a list of things maybe we can start talking about. So what I really liked when I talked to you, I was just calling to check in on you, and as a friend.
And thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. Not to interrupt you, but like people don't realize, like, yes, I've seen both sides. I've seen like, I'm not okay. I am a Black person during this time. I'm not okay. I would appreciate if people who are close to me, my friends, would check in on me. That would be nice. But then I've also seen the other side of it, like some Black people saying, don't check in on me. Don't feel the need to check in on me. So I've seen both sides. I'm on the side of I love friendship. I love talking to my friends, and I love connecting with the people who care about me and who I care about. So I love when people have been kind of texting me and just checking in on me, because this is hard to go through. So I appreciate, you reaching out and starting that conversation, because it serves as kind of an outlet at a time where everything's very internal for me, at least. And I know for a lot of people. So
I can only, I'm a big supporter for mental health too. So that's why I'm like self-care, but it's kind of like, the other way around, where sometimes when people check up on you, it gets a little vexatious and you're like overwhelmed. So that happens too. And naturally.
I have some friends who I checked in on who haven't responded to me. Like friends that normally respond really quickly, who just have been silent. And it's okay. Like, we're all in different places about this. And so seeing that side as well.
Well, thank you again. And I'm glad you're okay. We have our bad days. I actually have some bad days too. I was watching, shout out to Ava DuVernay. Is it DuVernay?
Yes.
Vernay, yes. I've been like, I love her films and her documentaries. It's just really eye-opening. Watch the 13th, guys. Friends who are out there.
Watch
MLK.
The 13th.
I watched MLK. Not MLK. I watched Selma first, and I was crying all night. And then I was like binging on 13th right after. And I felt really bad after that, because it talks about the incarceration of the Black community, minorities, and like the systematic racism that really falls behind. It was really heartbreaking and eye-opening. So you guys, if you guys want to do some research, I suggest that.
And I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead, say it.
Live, people.
But
I have to be honest, so I'm not gonna mention names.
Okay, yes.
But I am gonna say watch the 13th, because it's amazing. And it is extremely eye-opening, and it's a good thing to know and be really aware about that is happening, because people in prisons don't have a voice. They can't speak for themselves. They have to get
Yeah.
people to speak for them.
It's really sad.
And they are locked away in places that we don't see. And a lot of people like it that way, and that's how it's meant to be. But it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I think that the 13th really brings these people's stories into mind. And it's important. But I also have experience with people who are very close-minded and don't want to watch films such as the 13th. I personally have experience. I am trying to be as protective of people's privacy at the same time as being honest and showing my experience, and letting people know that there are people like this out there that I have directly dealt with. So for several years, I lived with two people who I love them. I have love for them. But I remember one night in particular, I had the 13th on, and these two people saw that I was watching it, my roommates, and quietly retreated to their rooms for the rest of the evening while it was on. That is the kind of mentality. As simple as that is, that's a huge statement.
Yeah. I
remember one of them in particular came out to me into the living room and said, "Oh, what are you watching?" all enthusiastically. And as soon as Obama came on screen, it was like, oh. And then they retreated to their rooms and closed the door between the hallway where the rooms are and the living room where I was watching the 13th. That mentality is so real. There are people who do not
agree,
do not agree, do not want to hear it.
Yeah.
And that is a huge,
it's hard.
Powerful, hard statement. But yeah, that documentary really opened my eyes to a lot, and I had only wished that those people, as well as lots of other people, would see it and would take the time to watch it, even if they feel like it's going to make them uncomfortable. That's the point. That's
right. I mean, that's why we're having these conversations. And, you know, I understand, because personally it's hard to explain some of these idealistic, like, systematic racism to my family. It's like, oh my gosh, how can you say such a thing?
Yeah, we don't talk about that. What are you talking about?
They think it's like some conspiracy theory. And it's frustrating. I was trying to, you know, talk with some people at home, and you know, a lot of them, I'm not gonna name names too, but you know, some people, even in our own family members, are conservatives, and you know, it's tough. So, but I hope that at least, you know, we can come and have these difficult conversations, and at least they can have they don't have to understand. You can't force people to understand, right? But you can just kind of give that other, hey, there's also this, you know. But I mean, the fact that the nation is moving after all these incidents for the Black Lives Matter, and people are being aware is already it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive. It's it's never happened before. Never happened.
I know, and I'm so glad that it's happened in our lifetime, and that's why I'm doing this, because it's like, this will mark us, guys. This you know, that's why I'm posting, like, 100, not 100, but you know, 20 years from now, you can rewatch this or think of things of what you did to be a part of this movement for good, you know.
Yes, I always say, like, even down to the 2016 election, like, whether we wanted to or not, no matter who we voted for, that is a part of the reason we are here, was the 2016 election. A big part. And I want to be personally, I want to be able to look back and say that I was on the right side of history. And as cliche as that sounds, it's very real. I have parents who grew up at the tail end of segregation in America, who experienced that. And they raised me and told me stories about them being on the right side of history, and making those decisions and voting back in those days to be on the right side of history that would benefit me as their child, as well as the world. And so we have an opportunity again during this to do the same thing, to make a decision on where we stand, because if you don't make a decision, you're still taking a stance. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Where originally are you? You're not from LA, right? We're originally.
No, I'm from Miami.
Miami, yeah.
Which is like a whole nother country. It's like not even part of it's not the same thing as Florida, people. It's a separate own thing. We're not we're not standard Floridian.
No.
I guess.
I mean, I've seen I see them beaches during quarantine.
I miss the beach so much, and I miss Jamaican food.
Yeah.
Family's Jamaican.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yes,
That's cool.
Where are you from again?
My parents are Chinese, but I have family in Hong Kong, and my dad's Chinese Burmese, so he's born in Burma, just Southeast Asia.
Wow.
Yeah. And my mom's from Canton, moved to Hong Kong, and then she's actually from Seattle, like immigrated to Seattle. So yeah, she's the spirit, right? What is she doing here? Yeah. But I actually was really interested and moved when you talked about your experience going into film and talking about, I think you were saying how you were in kind of like this Zoom meeting, and you were talking to people in the film industry, kind of asking them about, was it like casting, like diversity in casting, or, you know, bringing more people from diverse backgrounds up to these, you know, meetings, or hiring people of color or diverse backgrounds.
That's what it comes down to, right? We're all trying to find jobs.
Whether
it's casting or production or the corporate end or support staff.
Yeah.
Job.
I think you kind of said earlier, like, you know, it was hard and difficult because you were trying to raise awareness, like, hey, we need more people, and it just kind of glossed over.
Yeah.
Would you be open to talking about that?
I'd be so open to talking about
Okay, gotta be.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to talk about it so that no one looks bad. But at the end of the day, it's so hard because people are going to end up looking bad in this. Like, that's the point. We've been doing the wrong things for so long.
Yeah.
But yes, I hopped on a Zoom workshop per se. And this workshop was basically conversations with a prominent casting director in the industry. I do not want to name names. But a prominent casting director. Hi, Brianna. Prominent casting director in the industry. Very prominent. Studio level, high up in casting at a major studio network.
Okay.
And the theme of the Zoom workshop class hangout was just conversations with the two hosts that do this series of Zoom conversations and this casting professional. And all three of them were white. They were all white people. Cool. Okay. Fine with me. However, I did hop on the call, and I was with another friend who had arranged to watch the call as well. We wanted to learn as much as we could about casting. Normally when people have Zoom calls or have workshops like that, even if it's just a conversation, there's some helpful element to it. Like, why would we spend, this ended up being a 2-hour experience, watching people talk and say nothing about cast. Like, we're there to learn. We're there to somehow have our careers benefited by experiencing this conversation. And most of the time when a casting director is involved, they do talk about their jobs. However, we were on there for an hour and a half, and the whole conversation was 2 hours long, and they spent the entire time not addressing anything helpful
Mm-hmm.
at all. Talking about like their dog and coffee, which is fine too. Like I want to get to know people and for who they are, but we just found that conversation was not productive at all. And we kind
Mm-hmm.
of got a hint a few minutes in and typed in a question in the little chat box in the Zoom box.
Mm-hmm.
And they ignored our question. And our question was a good question. Oh man, it was about booking co-stars and guest stars after the pandemic, like what that would look like. And we also put in another question about diversity and their thoughts on that. They completely dodged the diversity question, which this was one of those Zoom calls where like you don't see the participants, you only see the 3 people hosting and talking. So they couldn't see me like, hi, I'm asking something that's actually important that will help people on this call, who I'm pretty sure are here to also be benefited by this conversation. And they dodged that question because they could. Regarding the co-star and guest star question, sorry, there was a siren outside. Regarding the co-star and guest star question, instead of answering it directly, and I'm getting to a point here, instead of answering it directly, they kind of dwindled it down to something that it wasn't. I was specific and direct in the question. I was like, what will it look like for up and coming actors to book smaller roles on television during a pandemic when they want to reduce the amount of people on set? Will it be easier or harder? You are a high up in casting, one of the top in casting at one of the top networks. You would know a little bit about what that would look like, or you'd be able to say, I don't know. But instead, the host proceeds to look at the question and is like, so about guest stars and co-stars. That's all. That's exactly how he asked my question on behalf of my typing it in, which they encouraged us to leave our questions and they didn't address them. And I found that so, how do you answer that question as a casting professional if that's how it's presented to you? Yeah, co-stars and guest stars.
I think
they exist. Cool.
I mean, at least they acknowledged it. That happened to me too. I told you. Yeah.
So my point with that whole story is, me and my friend kind of pointed out, we were like, well, in our experience with calls with Black casting directors, when they're asked questions, they directly answer the question. And Zoom calls with casting directors of color tend to be more productive because they know what it's like to need answers. They're in their life experience. They have needed help because of oppression and how it applies to trying to make your way up in any job. So they know what it's like to be direct and actually have an answer for something because they know people are in need of it. Whereas we felt like it was interesting that, you know, an all-white panel, it's almost like in their life experience, they've never needed to have these questions answered for them. So they don't even know the concept or like why it would be important to be direct with stuff like that. And I just, the difference, the contrast, it was
so
stark.
sad.
It was a stark contrast. And that's the kind of conversation I'm trying to start amongst Hollywood, especially executives, is like, I understand that, you know, as people in power, as white people in power, you've never had the experience, like things have been handed to you, which like, yay. And not everyone has had things handed to them, but it's significantly more than people of color. Like they just get significantly more opportunities, significantly easier than people of color and than Black people. So I understand that you wouldn't know why it's so important to be direct in your answers. But that's the change and the shift that we need to start making, because that's how you really help people. And I think that that's part of the education as well. And it's really important that they address these hard questions, even if it's hard. Like we were talking about, like answering these questions is not easy. Like having to be real about what your company is doing for diversity
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy, because if the
It's
answer is
not.
they're doing nothing, you don't want to look bad. No one wants to look bad.
Right.
But
Yeah,
this is a very exposing time, because people are
it
having to
is.
face their prejudices head on and be
Mm-hmm.
honest about their indifference and their passiveness towards these major issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I mean, I told you about my experience when I shot that question too. It's a very similar experience, and it's funny that you had gone through that similar route. I basically asked, during the COVID times, there was a lot of Asians who were being attacked,
Mm,
hate crimes, and and I asked that question in the Zoom meeting too. I was like, what can we do? Media is such a powerful tool. What
mm,
can we do, to kind of change this dynamic of racism? And it got completely ignored, just like you. I mean, at least they acknowledged you, and
on one of the
but
questions.
now on one of the but now it's
Yeah.
like you're right, like in a sense, like this movement. That's why I wanted to talk about like film and diversity, women, representation, because like now it's like, all right, now I see companies posting like, oh, we're all about diversity and inclusion, but it's like, but what happened to our questions? Like,
Mhm.
what happened there? And now
Oh,
you're,
yes.
yeah,
It's like you
like,
can talk about the fact that you're going to do something
mm-hmm,
for so long. Like,
mm-hmm,
I think that's one of the things that the current president does. He
yeah.
just talks about um, a lot of things that we're
Yep.
gonna do and how much we
Mm-hmm.
care, and I'm like, cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
What are you gonna do about your desire to help? Like, the
That's why we got
desire
to do it from
means,
ground,
yeah.
little things that we're doing here. I love these like conversations. You guys think of questions too on the later that we're going to kind of talk later. The last 15 minutes we're gonna have questions. Ryan's like, oh, they steady be dodging diversity, about to lose their jobs. Yeah, they are gonna get acknowledged and faced with these really hard questions. And you
They
know
never had to
I'm
answer either.
that brings me to my next thing is so I'm on Twitter a lot. That's where I get my real news, like uh so like Roxane Gay is a writer. She is of Haitian descent, but she is also a feminist. She's a great speaker for all of these movements going on too. And there was this tweet about, it was really interesting, and she was open to talking about how much she got paid for every, I don't understand the
Oh,
publishing,
awesome.
book. Yeah, but she was like, okay, for my I'm just reading her tweet. It's pretty well known. This is what Roxane Gay said. It's pretty well known, but for 12,500 for An Untamed State, which is one of her books, $15,000 for Bad Feminist. This is for publishing. $100,000 for Hunger. 150,000 for Year I Learned Everything. And she goes on to, this is how much publishing has paid her. So another female writer, her name is Mandy Lynn Ketron. I don't know how to say it. She said, and this is crazy, just listen, guys. I, a totally unknown white woman with one viral article, got an advance that was more than double what Roxane Gay got for her highest advance. Hashtag publishing paid me. Publishing paid her $400,000 for How to Fall in Love with Anyone, which is a book that I guess she wrote. I've written an essay about this forthcoming, and I wanted to say more. So she goes on to saying a bunch of things that helped her, but that was her first publishing gig against Roxane Gay, who's written like, I have her books right here. It's amazing. Bad Feminist, and she talks about rape culture too. Me Too movement. Um, so Mandy goes on saying that amount of money was a little more than double what I made teaching, and it changed my life in all sorts of ways. Opportunities writers of color almost never receive.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes on to say, I mean, she wrote this thing. I'm only like skipping, like this is like 2 out of 10. In the end, the book did not sell all that well. Even though I'm super proud of it, it is laughable far from earning out that advancement. My publishers took a risk on me, a white, straight, able, cis woman writing about love. Would they have taken that risk on a different writer? Bam!
Well, maybe a different writer, but not a person of color.
Right? And I'm just like, $400,000 for her. I think it seems like it was like her first publishing gig against Roxane. I've seen her speak. She spoke at USC one time about it was actually like about sexual assault. And she did it with Amanda Nguyen, who's also a activist. She's done a lot of great things for you know, the legislative system, and you know, moving laws and legislation for assault victims, because there's just not enough to protect women or people who've been assaulted. And anyways, but that was really eye-opening, and I'm just like, man, if that happens to publishers, I mean, I'm sure it happens everywhere, and it happens I've heard
in our
stories.
Business, girl.
Yeah, so that's why we gotta talk about it. You gotta fight really hard. And I have a tendency to be like, oh, you know what? I'll let them kind of give me this low ball for now, because I gotta work my way up. But I'm like, wait, Roxane, this is happening to Roxane? And yeah.
I can't speak to the book publishing.
Yeah, I don't know that realm either.
But the concept, the situation, the whole situation as a whole is something that happens across the board in so many industries, including ours, including in film and television. It's a business. I'm not going to deny that it's not a business. It's a business. So people are out to make money. People are out for themselves a lot of the time. Most people in Hollywood could care less about other people. Their focus is here. Okay. I try not to be that person. However, it happens all the time. It is something that's known. Like, people, like we said earlier, these are hard topics to talk about. They're hard conversations. Not because they're necessarily uncharted territory, but because people know when they're doing the wrong thing. You have an innate sense that you are being unfair, but you're benefiting from your own unfairness. So therefore, with people like in the business and making money, if you can get away with paying someone so much less, you'll do it. In the business, they'll do it. If they can get away with it, they'll do it. They do whatever they can get away with. So, and they know that people of color have less opportunity. They know that already. So if they give you a figure that maybe you've never seen before, even if it's not fair, but it's big to you, and you'll say yes, and they don't have to pay you more, they'll do it.
That's not right.
What happens? And as an actor, oh my God, like I've been told, this will never come around for you again. So you can either take the low pay or lose out. Yeah. And
you're just another replacement.
I've been told that more than once, and I've said no and I've said yes. And it's just the unfortunate reality, and it is so absurd that is happening, but I'm very grateful that it's all coming to light.
Yes.
Because it's necessary.
Is
For
there
all this stuff to come to light is necessary.
Right. Is there a place where there's like Glassdoor, right? But is there a Glassdoor for filmmakers?
What do you mean?
I'm always, to check up how much usually people get paid. I know, right?
No. It's so hard. Writers, maybe. Like, the thing is, we work in a gig-based economy. So every single movie, I do, you do, is going to be a different amount of money. Every single project. Unless you're in a deal under a studio, or you have some sort of consistent job you're always making the same. Glassdoor ceiling, that means Glassdoor is a website that shows you like your average amount of pay per job for a certain company. So like work at Google, you might make this amount. You can't say that for Hollywood.
Yeah.
Work in Hollywood, you might make $0. You might make $3 billion.
Right.
Like it's the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely does happen, and it's very unfortunate. And as shocking as it can seem, it's not a surprise to me. That makes complete sense to me that happened to her, because that happens to Black people all the time. It's not new. I've been on commercials where I've done the same job as another actor and I've gotten paid less. Normally they post rates beforehand, but if they hadn't, or it was a smaller gig, that can happen. Or maybe a white actress has more of a chance of getting a bump on set for something. If it's a smaller role, maybe they'll give the lines to the white actress. And therefore that perpetuates the unfairness in pay, etc. Right. So, you know, like Black people aren't chosen to be bumped up for any reason, you know. I mean, this varies. It's situation by situation, but I think that's how Hollywood's been getting away with it for so long, because they can say, well, this is not the case every time. So
I mean, there's so many problems. There's like the Me Too movement, which I'm just like, me too. And I'm like, you know, it's like, and then there's like being like women. I know, women of diversity, you know, women in film, like, but so maybe we can kind of think of ways other than talking about like, what do you think we can do to kind of help, hopefully.
Hollywood?
Yeah, that's a big ask. Come on.
But I think this is honest. I have a lot of opinions on what we can do. They're only my opinions and they're only my suggestions. However, I think
But we are the next gen.
We are the next gen. And I'm proud of our generation. I'm proud that tomorrow's executives are going to be a little bit woke. Today's, I don't know. I don't know. And the fact that we're just now being able to be honest about this without fear of losing a job is interesting as well. But in terms of actionable items, there's a ton. Starting the conversation is the first step.
Right, which we're doing.
We have to start conversations with people in power. We have to start honest, open, genuine, real, unfiltered conversations with people in power.
And they have to listen. I mean, like, clearly when we did that, you know, can we just ask them to be a little bit like open to, right? It's just kind of, it reminds me of our incident when we tried to ask higher ups about racism or, you know, even casting for you, and it just got completely ignored.
So I'm going to add to that and say that I'm someone who doesn't like technology very much.
Yeah.
I don't like technology very much. I am a caller. Like, my friends know, like, text me if you must. But I prefer phone calls any day. Okay, I love talking to people on the phone. I love FaceTiming. I love, like, seeing people, hearing their voice. I'm not a big texter. I only text if I have to, or if I know a friend is a big texter, I'll be like, well, I'm your friend. So, look, that's your love language. So,
love language.
One of the reasons I do not like social media is because it makes it so easy for people to be passive. Technology, communicating through technology, makes it so easy for your texts, your calls even, to get ignored. Your emails get ignored. But if you're talking to someone face to face, they cannot dodge you. They have nowhere else to go. They can't use the excuse that they were busy. They have to answer your question. And so as much as I appreciate a lot of people saying, like, email me your thoughts. Well, if they say email me your thoughts, a little different. But, like, as much as I can advocate for, like, sending messages to people to try and see if they will resonate, I'm like, I wish Hollywood executives would set up meetings with their Black employees. Set up a meeting, like a town hall meeting. Get everyone into a room and give the microphone, give the floor to the people who have experienced this firsthand under your jurisdiction.
Yes.
And listen. I think that gives an immediate response. It's more thought-provoking. You can look people in the eye. It's very impactful to do stuff like that. And even in terms of Blackout Tuesday, which happened last week now.
Yeah.
I would have loved, like, I don't know what different companies did. I know, like, some companies just, people took the day off, and I'm like, cool. I appreciate you taking this time to think, but, like, do more than think, right? A really productive Blackout Tuesday, in my opinion, would be different companies having a meeting with all of their employees.
Yeah.
And saying, like, what progress have we made? Black employees, people of color, what has been your experience working at this company the past few months? Is there anything that has happened to you? You don't have to name names, but is there anything that has happened to you? Is there any scenario in which you see that we could improve?
Right.
Because we're here to listen, and we want to make sure that we are having a company that does the right thing, that we're doing the right thing under our jurisdiction. And so that's one way. Just start those conversations up close in person and really allow yourself to soak in the realities of other people. That's the only way we can really see, is to take in other perspectives. That's why traveling is so great. That's why people who travel can be the most open people you'll ever meet, because they are exposed to other ways of life. And so we have to do that here. We have to travel in the company.
Yes, we got to travel to our coworkers.
Yes, our coworkers, people. Talk to them. Yeah. I think it's really important for white people to intermingle in both their personal lives and their professional lives with people of color. And I think it is so important to hire more Black people, hire more people of color, because you'll automatically, your company will start operating in a different way. You guys will, like, you're naturally going to be inviting more perspectives, more ways of thinking into the community that is your company and your set of employees. So definitely do that.
I think it's also the idea that, you know, Hollywood and people are making more noise now about how it should represent current society in that we're living in, especially in LA,
in terms of
and how diversity. Like behind the screen, in front of the screen, and it's like if we have people, you know, Asians are not even, you know, I think it's a really low amount too in writers' room. So it's like if we have people who are writing from their point of view, of course it's going to come out stereotypical, you know. So it's like that's why it's like it's
because that's all we know,
right? So
and that's all we've seen.
It's important to have people of all types of background. You know, I have a big affinity towards the Native American culture, you know, the Latinx community, you know, and I think if, like you said, when we travel, you know, within our LA community and, you know, invite people to the table.
Oh my gosh.
Then can you imagine how awesome these stories can come out? But I think people are scared that, like you said, that once that can of worms is open, you know, people are scared of potentially losing. Maybe that's kind of the other argument too, is like, oh, we don't want to lose their job.
Well, let me clear. First of all, I love the metaphor of like invite people to the table. I've heard so many interesting stories from people who I decided to be present and hear them out. People I've met in the most random places. I'll be at the beach, strike up a conversation with a random stranger, and you learn so much about someone's heart. You see people, you see more of the world through people, and you become a better person because you have a bigger understanding of your environment and the world around you and the people who live in it. You become better. Like that's what I'm trying to help people understand, is like by welcoming in people of color, your company, your studio, by your talking project, to people, your movie, your production, your writer's room will be better.
Learning and listening.
Have grown and expanded as a person. So that. And in terms of casting, I have an illustration that I like to use. in
All
terms
right.
of that diversity.
I hate to,
casting.
but we have 15 minutes left, so I'm just
No
saying
way.
I'm gonna give you 5, and then we'll open up 5 to 10, and then we'll open up questions to people just in case. But I don't want to cut you short. I would love to talk to you more.
Yeah,
Yes.
I could have
Okay.
this conversation forever. So.
Right?
But one illustration that has been really, really helpful for me to understand as well, but also my, white friends who are actors to understand as well, is for a long time, most roles have been white. They've gone to white people, whether they were written to be white and whether not, whether it didn't matter what race or ethnicity the person was, and they chose a white person for whatever reason. At the end
there
of the day,
was
reason does
yellow
not matter.
face and black facing in the early 1950s. It was embarrassing.
Yes. We have a bad history, and unfortunately the people in power, and I'm going to emphasize that, okay, the people in power have not changed as much as we would like. A lot of them have. Most of them haven't. So we and have not learned from that history as much as people our generation are willing to and open to that history. So the illustration that I like to use is, let's say, percentages. These are all fictional percentages. None of these are real. But for the point of illustration, say all roles in Hollywood were 80% of them went to white people, and 80% of them were posted asking for a Caucasian person for the role. And then the diversity initiative happened, which I have my thoughts on the diversity initiative. It could be so much better. It could be so much better. And I would love for casting to hear me out on those things as well. But diversity initiative happens. They are trying to find more diverse actors for roles in which they don't need to be white. And they're trying to write in more roles in which they're requesting actors of color. Now it's 80% white, right, is what we started with. And that means 20% of roles go to everyone else, not just Black people. Most roles in Hollywood were given to white people, 20% given to everyone else, every other ethnicity or race.
Just 20%, right?
Just 20%. The diversity initiative happens. Now we've had some progress. Now, instead of 80% of the roles going to white actors, now 60% are going to white actors. 40% are going to everyone else. Then we have even more progress. We are not here yet, but say that miraculously get to 50% white, 50% everybody else. Every other ethnicity and race has to share that 50%. 50%. So that means that Black people still only have
a little piece of the pie. A little. Everyone wants a piece.
20% of the roles. And white people are getting 50%, and saying that it's not fair that more roles are being given to people of color. More roles aren't being given to people of color. Now we just even the playing field. So, and we still have to split that diversity section between all the ethnicities. And there are still a lot of underrepresented ethnicities, Pacific Islander, etc.
Yes.
So like
Southeast Asians.
It's just, we have not gone, like Black people do not, I will say with confidence, Black people do not have it the worst in terms of casting in film.
That, I think the good thing about the Black community in film is that you guys have, I was just talking with another friend about this too, that you guys have more representation, right? You guys have your own media, more. You guys have, so I think, Tyler, you guys have, your own production companies, which is great. And there are slowly more, more diverse production companies coming out. But the fact that you guys have a history and that you guys have, BET and your own music industry, that to me is very powerful too. You guys have like a playing field where at least you're visible, right? There's people like,
there's a lot of work to do, but yes.
Crazy Rich Asians just came out, was it 2 years ago?
And that's
2020. That's one project, right? And it's like, now people are like, oh wow, like diversity and inclusion.
Asians exist. What?
Yeah, like, so it's crazy, but it's like, I think they were saying, yes, there were I think maybe about since Joy Luck Club in the 90s. So since an all Asian cast was shot in a high paying entertainment film production, you know, so yeah, so I mean, there were other films too, I'm sure, but the fact that it was that big and it took so long, um, and
We've
maybe we
got a
made the money.
long ways to
Like,
go. Let me
yeah.
tell you. And I'm a huge advocate. Like, I love my community. Love my community. I love who I am. I love where I come from. And I love seeing representation on screen. I did not see that growing up. And that's what I wanted to do. However, I am a massive advocate for everyone else. I believe in fairness for Black people. And I believe in fairness for Asian people. And I believe in fairness for every other community. And I believe in fairness for white people. I believe that we should all be equal. And that is why I like the term inclusivity more than I like the term diversity. I think we should be inclusive more than we are. Well, not more, but I just like that word way more because it means everyone. It's not just going away from what things have been. It's balancing the scales completely across the board. Because I have friends in several different races and I have friends who are white and I think that they deserve a fair shot too.
Yeah.
They should not feel shoved to the side in the name of diversity. They should feel hand in hand with us. You know what I mean?
Yes. We're all talking about the same things that we want, but to make that work and to make that put into motion is another uphill battle. But I believe in our generations and generations to come.
And I believe we can work together. I think everyone just needs an understanding, you know, of like each other in Hollywood. Writers have to work with producers, have to work with the actors, have to work with casting, have to work with the execs. Everyone has to be on the same page. That is not easy. That's going to take a while. It's going to take a long while.
I mean, I even remember working on some of these productions and I sometimes would be the only Asian. And I'm just like, and as like an assistant, like a PA. And, you know, it just shows, I mean, I'm very thankful to be there, you know, but sometimes it's like, oh man, a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. And yeah. I wish I could gather everyone into a room.
Right?
Like, I've told you this before. I just want like us all to have like when we're having all these different conversations, cool. But like until we're on the same page with each other, that's when the change is gonna start. So I appreciate I appreciate the fact that there are casting offices having conversations within themselves and with their associates and their assistants. Great. Invite some actors into that conversation. Invite some Black producers into that conversation. Like we're all trying to do the same thing. Make great stories. Yeah. Enjoy what we do. But we need each other to do it. This is a collaborative business. And so yeah, I completely agree with you in that respect.
Awesome. Well said. You know, we only have like about, let me see, like 4 minutes. You just ended with a great bam. I really like, you know, it's always so fun talking to friends and, you know, and how you guys have so much to say, you know, even the comments here, people are so supportive and Are there any questions that you guys have?
Anyone
friends?
have any questions?
Thank you all for joining.
Katrina or I.
Yeah. Camila.
I love the pie illustration.
Yeah.
I like it too. It's
Ryan also.
It helped me understand more. So I was like, why do my friends feel like everything's being taken away when I don't feel that way? Like, what's a way I can explain to them that it's not
no, that was very helpful. I'm a very visual person too. Like you write me something and tell me to memorize it. It may take me 10 days, but that visual really helps. That's why I'm not a numbers person. I am against the Asian stereotype, guys. That's why I'm in film.
Yeah, I'm so excited for stereotypes to be eradicated. Also, like, again, if you have any questions, please type. But yeah, I'm so excited to start seeing people outside of their stereotypes.
Right.
Like, I cannot tell you, like, I get so like, when I think about the fact that I might see a Pacific Islander or an Asian just playing a role, and it doesn't matter. Like, the script is not about the fact that they're Asian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see someone in a role and it's not even questioned. Like, it's just, they're the lead of the show and that's just it. Because that's what life is. We all are the leads in our own life, right? In our own little movie. But at the same time, like, why don't we have that representation on television? Why can't I just watch a show and a lead be a person of color without making it a big deal?
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just cast them and it be it? I'm excited to stop seeing stereotypes in TV film. And it's not going to completely stop, because there's something to be said about culture and playing characters that are part of those cultures as well. But I'm excited for that version of progress too. Can someone get me Ben Affleck's autograph? Ha ha ha, kidding. I don't know Ben Affleck, but I have a friend who was in his recent movie, The Way Back.
Oh, really? That's funny.
My friend might be able to get you an autograph, maybe. Maybe. That's funny. Who's your favorite actor, Katrina? Last question.
Who's my you're asking me questions? Oh, I love that you're asking me questions.
Who's your favorite
Who's
actor?
my favorite actor or actress? Off the top of my head, you know, growing up, I used to really like, I don't know why I'm blanking out. Who's that girl from Miss Congeniality? Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
Yeah. And now I look at really how they can portray on screen and how they can tell a story. So I personally don't have like, oh my gosh, you know, like there are people that actually, I would say right now I've been looking up to like directors. So like John Chu, Ava DuVernay, you know, and what they do as storytellers and you know, being able to be bold and making these like statement, you know, movies and having these narratives. So that's what I've been obsessing over, are like people in these positions like that just, you know, they don't filter. So,
yeah. I love, storytellers like that change the game.
Yeah.
They show real life as it is in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And, now.
I mean, there's so many, you know, that's why I think for me, it's like, my mentality is like, how can we, you know, be the next? So, you know, even Lulu Wang is really, what she does is awesome too. You know, like I liked how she did The Farewell.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. Really,
she's interesting to hear her talk about her work. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I've heard her speak
the
too.
steady passion about it. Yeah. That's awesome.
All right, now I'm getting time. So now we got 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, all right. But that's kind of, I'm glad they remind me, because I just can go off talking forever too.
Right? Yeah, I was like, oh.
So,
yeah, that's so cool. Well, I'm really glad we had the opportunity to chat. I'm really glad we got to talk about this in a small, y'all, this is a portion. This is a tiny sliver.
This is a the pie illustration again.
It's a tiny sliver, okay, of what there is to be said on this topic. And this is like
one piece of the paper of the pie. This is how much we got.
That's how much we talked about, okay, guys? So
visuals.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. If any of you have further questions or want to discuss, like DM me.
Yeah, Jhanelle, you guys. Jhanelle's awesome. She's freaking smart and beautiful woman of color, you know, and that's why I'm just so glad to have friends like you talk and share.
Likewise. Yeah. It makes this time so much better. Just knowing that we have each other, it makes this time so much better, and it gives me so much hope that people like you exist, Katrina.
No, I thought I was crazy. That's why I said, hey, you know, talking to you, I feel sane, because I'm just like this you know, like angry Asian girl, just like, you know, but I'm, you know, and I'm so glad that we're able to, you know, have the same ideals and feel passionately about these things and move and hopefully, like, you know, make waves. So thank you to the friends too that are on here still. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to post this, and we're going to have more exciting talks.
Yeah.
10 seconds to go.
Okay.
Yes, follow.